again, everyone, it's me, Madame Macabre, and welcome to a new video. First of all, I apologize if you get random bits of children screaming and stuff. I don't know if that picked up. But I have to have the windows open because all the fans are off right now. It's like 90 degrees right now. I guess they're really trying because they know I'm recording. They've been, yeah, I don't know, I think the kids next door are demons. One particular family. This child, all he knows how to do is communicate in blood-curdling screams. I mean, which is pretty metal, but at the same time, I'm trying to work here. Anyway, so that's what's going on if you hear sound effects. I'm not trying to add it for extra spookiness, though it might work. Because for today's video, I have an interesting story time for you. I know you really like enjoying hearing about my own personal paranormal experiences, and I have another one to share with you guys that happened very recently. So if you've been following me for any amount of time, you probably already know that I attract a lot of what you could call paranormal experiences. They happen quite frequently to me. They've happened to me my entire life, and they will probably continue happening my whole life. I'm probably just sensitive to it or something. Funny enough, this story actually has a friend witness to it because I was actually in the middle of a late night Discord call with another person when all the stuff started hitting the fan. It was getting close to 3 a.m., you know, the witching hour, ironically enough, that this all decided to start happening. So I had been laying on this couch actually for a while, just chatting on the Discord call because I had it on my mobile Discord on my phone so I could just chill out here. And every now and then I would pause in my conversation because I kept thinking I was hearing something. I'd pause and I'd look all around and they're like, what's going on? I'm like, no. And then my first instinct was, what I'm hearing is the cats. That thought only lasted like 2 seconds though, because I looked behind me and both the cats were on the couch with me, also reacting to the noise with stretching their necks and their ears out like, what's going on? I'm not really sure how best to describe the sound. It was almost like the soft rustle of fabric and then something like harder, like hitting a wall or something. It was kind of like the rustle of fabric and then like a... So I'm sitting here on the couch at 3 a.m. starting to get freaked out. My first thought is, oh my god, did somebody break into my apartment? Because mind you, it's been so hot here. I'm not used to this kind of heat in Washington State. I know y'all in the South are laughing at our 95 degrees and all that, like, oh, you think that's hot, honey? It is hot for me. Our average temperature up here is 50 degrees. Chew on that. So I'm used to that temperature. 95, I ain't doing so hot. So I've had my windows open all day. Mind you, I've got screens in them, but screens can be popped out easily. They have to for like fire safety. So it would be plausible for somebody to, if they could get up to one of my balconies or something and like pop the screen out, climb in, pop it back in, and hide somewhere in my home. And that was my immediate thought and fear. I'm like, oh my god. So my first reaction is like, I'm telling my friend on the phone this, like I'm freaking out, and they're like, oh, ha 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 ha, like making jokes, making it worse, like doing like scary movie soundtrack noises in the receiver. I'm like, I'm actually really scared. So the first thing I do is I like make sure the coast is clear. I run to my bedroom, and I'm so freaked out because I've been hearing this sound. Like, mind you, it's not like I just heard this once and immediately freaked out. It was over the course of like 45 minutes. I kept hearing this happening, and it sounded like it was coming from the other end of the apartment. And the cats were reacting. I was getting more and more freaked out. Like, the rate at which it was happening was making me think there's someone trying to lure me out or something to get me. So I run to my room. I actually get my 9mm handgun. I'm so scared, and I'm just like, I legitimately think there's someone in my house. So I personally keep it for a home defense, and let me tell you, I went from absolute terror, thinking someone's gonna jump out and murder me, to like, now I'm the one with the gun. Like, you're not hiding to get me, you're hiding from me at this point. So tables have turned a little bit. So I go through with way more confidence now, check every single closet in the entire apartment, check under basically anywhere where a human body could fit, I searched. And then, like, I was like, okay, obviously there's not a person here, so I go back to my room, I unload the weapon, I put it back up in its safe, I got it, you know, it's fine. I come back out, I sit on the couch, and I'm like, okay, well, and mind you, the whole time I was searching, I wasn't hearing the noise, nothing was happening. So I get back out, I lay back down on the couch, the cat settled down again, and I'm like, okay, sorry about that, I was just freaked out, like, I don't know what's going on, but there's not a person in the house. I kid you not. After I sit back on the couch and get back to the conversation, it happens again. So at this point, I know for a fact there's not an intruder in my home, so now I'm thinking, oh, it's paranormal. And the thing that's kind of funny to me is when I thought it was a human in my home, my fear was like a 20 out of 10. And then the second I'm thinking, oh, now it's got to be something paranormal, my fear was like a 2 out of 10. Like, the second, like, I know some people, if they think ghosty, spooky things are happening, they're gonna be a 20 out of 10, but as soon as I realized it wasn't, like, a living person, I'm like, oh, okay, now let's go poke around. Like, I'm not actually scared now I'm interested. So I'm still on the line with my friend, and I, like, slowly start moving, because at this point, I think I've narrowed it down after listening for so long, and also watching the cats, because they're way better at tracking the source down, and they were both looking at the kitchen, and that's about the other side of the apartment where it would realistically be. So I get up and I start heading to the kitchen. Now when I walk in there, just through the doorway into the kitchen, it's like walking, like hitting like a wall of ice cold air, which was actually really nice because everywhere else in the apartment, it's like ridiculously hot right now. And the kitchen is usually the worst. It's like a pocket of hot air, but for whatever reason, stepping in there at that moment was like stepping into a refrigeration unit. It was frigid cold. And I'm like, okay, something's going on now. And I'm looking around, and then suddenly my eye is caught by the calendar I have pinned to the wall. The thumbtack right before my eyes pops out, and the calendar plops onto the floor, and the thumbtack rolls onto July 23rd. And I'm like, still on the phone with my friend, like, there's some weird stuff going on right here. This thing just happened. And so I lean down and I pick up the calendar. I note, I even tell to my friend, the thumbtack fell on July 23rd. I'm not sure what's up about that. But at the second I pick that calendar and thumbtack up off the ground, the cold air like goes. It's like the temperature immediately starts rising again. So whatever it was, I think it just really wanted me to be aware of either its presence or specifically that date, which is kind of interesting for me to I was trying to figure out what it could have been. I looked up any significant dates in history. There wasn't really anything relevant, but what got me was that after I, got settled down on the couch again, because after the calendar and the cold and all that happened, like, things settled down again. So I sit back down, and then suddenly I'm hit with, like, a revelation, a realization of something that happened recently. A couple nights before this incident, I had been driving home around close to 9 p.m. on the highway. Usually this stretch of highway is clear and open at that time of night. There's no traffic. For whatever reason, that night there was just a buttload of traffic. It was horrible, and I'm like, what is going on? Well, sure enough, as we pass by, there is just like wreckage from the worst motorcycle accident I have ever seen in my life, and I could actually see a man on his back, all bloody. And I found out later from the news that he did not actually survive that incident. So I don't know if it could possibly be related to that, if the 23rd was something significant to him. But that's all that I could immediately think of, because I usually have things here and there, like my closets tend to open on their own, but that's not like an intelligent haunting. I'm pretty sure that's just an imprint, because they just kind of, they do their pattern. Like, it doesn't matter whether I'm here or not. Like, for all it cares, I don't exist. So I'm pretty sure that's the regular stuff I have is just like imprint hauntings. But every now and then when I get like intelligent ones that are not usual, then it gets me thinking, okay, why am I experiencing this now? Why are they coming to me? And the only reason I can think of, maybe a spirit coming to me at that night was perhaps it was trying to, maybe it knew I was more sensitive to these things and it was trying to pass a message on to me. If it's even this guy, it could be just some rando that was drifting through, like, oh, hey, you're sensitive to this stuff. Let me just get your attention. Look at this date. Unfortunately, because I was not able to actually figure out what the significance of the 23rd was, I wasn't able to do anything about that specifically, but what I did make sure to do was that when the 23rd rolled around, I waited until 3 a.m. again, witching hour, and I actually lit a white candle and just left that there as kind of just a nice, like, peace offering thing. Like, I'm sorry if you had something more significant that you needed me to do, but I can't work off of just the date alone. But, you know, here's me paying respects, because even if it's a completely different spirit, it may very well have just been someone who didn't get a proper send-off and was wanting a little closure or respect or something. So I put the candle up, and then I have it in here in the living room. You can't see where I'm pointing to. But I stepped around the corner to the kitchen, because the layout of my kitchen is like you can walk right through it. It makes like a circle with the layout here. So I go to the kitchen because the timer I had for my tea went off. So I went to go get my tea, and then when I come back in here, I noticed that the temperature had dropped again. And once again, not complaining, because it's been like Satan lifted himself from hell and put his butt crack on Washington State. It's so hot. So like it was refreshingly cold, and like what's going on? And then I look at the candle, and the flame is looking like bluish, and they don't normally do that for me. So I'm thinking with the cold and the blue light, I think blue light and candles signifies there being spirits, but I'm not super familiar with a lot of candle work. But so it stayed there for a second. It was cold for a second, and so I just had a moment of, you know, thinking, you know, like, I'm sorry if you needed me to do something else, but, you know, this is what I can offer you, closure, peace. I hope you can find your way to move on. Had that little moment. Suddenly it's not cold anymore, and the candle is no longer like blue. It's just back to regular orange flame, and that's it. Like, since then it's been like 3 or 4 days now, and not sensed anything like that again. So I'm hoping that doing that for it was enough to give it closure and help it move on, whatever it was. But yeah, that was my most recent little escapade. I'm pretty sure it was a spook, or it could have just been a lot of coincidental stuff happening at once. Either way, it was kind of interesting, and I thought you guys might enjoy hearing a story about it. Anyway, that is all I have time for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this story. If you have any theories or anything about what this entity could be, what it could want, things that I may have missed completely, please feel free to share in the comments below. I would love to hear from you guys. Anyway, I have to run now, so I will catch you all next time. And until then, stay creepy.